You know, some of the most important lessons, some of the best learning I've ever received in my life is from the University of Hard Knocks. You know, just from living on the streets, being on the streets. If you think about your life, the things you learn in real life, right, in real life situations, to me, those are the very, very best ways to learn. I want to share with you an experience that I had recently at an airport that really illustrates how we should not treat people. And just to be mindful that it's always important to treat people with respect, not just your customers, right, but your suppliers, your employees, everybody, because you never know who's watching. I was on a flight from the East Coast back to Houston, Texas, and my flight was delayed a couple of hours. I ended up getting to the airport like at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. Obviously, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, as is everybody else on the plane, and I get a text message as soon as I land from the rental car service that said, hey, because you're so late, your rental car has been given away. You know, proceed to the counter and we'll try to find you one. So I'm like, oh, this is great. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. I got to get to my hotel. I'm exhausted. I got to speak at 8 o'clock the next morning. So I go on out to the rental car building out in the parking structure. And when I walk in the little structure, the little building, there's a guy ahead of me, and he's reading the riot act to the little girl behind the counter. And the young lady behind the counter can't be more than 20 years old. And he's sitting there. He's an older guy like me. He's a bigger guy like me. And he's like reading her the riot act over the counter. He was yelling, if I wanted a minivan, I would have ordered a minivan. And I promise you, he was using some very colorful profanity as well to this young girl. He's like, I wanted an SUV, and he's like, I'm not believing what I'm seeing. I'm 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm exhausted. He's exhausted too. But to be treating this girl with this kind of disrespect was unbelievable to me. So I had to intervene. I said, sir, I said, you just need to go ahead and get your keys, because the keys are right there on the counter. She was trying to give them to him. I said, sir, you just need to go ahead and get your keys and mosey on before we have a problem here. You can't talk to her like that. This dude turns to me and he says, you need to shut the F up. I said, what did you just say to me? He goes, you need to shut the F up. I said, listen, pal, you better get those keys and get out of this building before something seriously painful happens to you, because you don't know me and you don't want to know me, right? He looks at me, looks at her, he's mad. He grabs the keys and he walks out in the parking structure. I can see him through the window, and he goes to his minivan, right? He's getting in his minivan. I turn to the girl, and she's now full on crying. She's like, thank you so much for helping me with this guy. It was unbelievable. I'm like, man, I'm so sorry. I apologize on the behalf of humans, right, that this guy was such a jerk. And so she gives me the keys, and I look out, and I can't really see any other cars because the parking structure is empty. And I kind of look around the corner through the glass, and there I see sitting in the parking structure an SUV. The last car in the structure is an SUV, and I'm going to tell you something. If he had asked that girl quietly, or respectfully rather, she probably would have gave him the SUV. I didn't care. I'll drive a minivan. I'll drive a bicycle. I don't care, right? But he was such a jerk to her, she just froze, right? The paperwork was already done on my rental and on his rental, so she just gave him the one that was assigned to him. If he had asked politely, I have to believe that she would have helped him out, because if she had turned to me and said, sir, do you mind giving up your SUV? No, I don't care. Give the jerk the SUV. But he didn't do that, right? And he got the minivan. And that last car sitting out there is SUV. The funniest thing is I walk out of the building, I'm walking to the SUV, and he's still in the minivan. He's watching me. And he watches me walk right over to the SUV. But to me, there was such an important lesson there. You've got to treat people with respect. You get more, you get more flies with sugar than vinegar, or whatever the old saying is, right? You got to treat people respectfully. You get what you get in life as long as you can help people get what they want. In this case, this young girl just wanted respect and kindness. And I guarantee you he would have got the result that he wanted if he had just remembered that simple lesson. So I would encourage all of us, again, not just in the obvious situations with our customers and with our suppliers, but with anybody you meet. Treat people with some kindness. Extend that courtesy. Give people respect. It's always the best way to go.